Namaste, Abraham. I'm meeting you at the turning point of my life.
Another turning point. Every day is sort of one, isn't it?
This is pretty major, and I know it's in my power to create that, starting with my belief, but I'm blessed that I have an ally that has created this stream for me, and it's the most powerful physical human force on the planet, the United States government, because I turned 65 tomorrow, and the stream is called Medicare. It begins with a loss, because I've had a therapist.
Now, before you go further, we know we're going to adjust this just a little bit.
Yes, a little close.
In light of everything that we just talked about, how valuable is discussion like this? Is it helpful?
With you, yes.
Then continue.
It begins with a loss, because I've had this therapist for the last 3 years that I just had to say goodbye to because she's not Medicare certified. And she referred me to a couple others that I'll have to pick from. This has been my only relationship in the past 3 years, my only adult relationship. Other than that, I have my 3 teenagers. But like one of the things she came up with is that I have Asperger's syndrome, and that's why I don't have friends. My last girlfriend, I was 59 and a half. Last time I had sex, there was a white man in the White House, and just not many friends. And, well, I've been on disability, Social Security disability for the last 3 years.
All right, now stop just for a little bit, because we're going to help you. You're really going to like this. You're really, really going to like this conversation. In fact, everything that we said in the earlier part of this day was to bring us to this place where we could have this conversation. And we don't expect you to comprehend everything that we're saying all at once, because we're saying a lot all at once. But we're going to give you some key points of understanding that are going to make so much sense to you that it's going to set you into a whole new understanding, and therefore into a whole new point of attraction. First, we want to say to you that there is nothing that you just said, or if we hadn't cut you off, nothing that you were going to say that isn't exactly true. In other words, everything that you're saying is true. We just want to ask you if these things don't have many friends, just had this one person that was sort of paying to listen to me, and haven't had a sexual relationship, these things that you said, are they things that you want to continue to be as they have been? And of course, we know the answer to that question. Of course not, Abraham. That's why I'm bringing them up. I don't like things the way they are. But we want you to understand that things can't change when you keep the conversation active about how they are. And it just must make you want to go crazy. In fact, it feels like that sometimes to all of you when we say to you, you've got to stop talking about how things are if you don't like them, because if they weren't the way I don't like them, I wouldn't feel the need to talk about them, Abraham. I feel that somebody needs to do something about it. And it's a sort of cry for help. All of you are doing it. Esther complains about having too much to do, thinking that somebody will come to her aid, but not enough people can come, you see, because they can't buck her current. Nobody can buck your current. The current that you've got going has to change. And the first thing that has to happen is you got to stop putting words to the things that are the way you don't want them to be, which we will admit is not an easy thing to do, because you've been trained in this life experience by many who have come before you to be truthful, to tell it like it is, and in a belief that you will get your assistance from them. Big part of you is looking forward to the assistance that you're going to get from Medicare, and we're glad about that too. But there's this feeling that I'm going to get help from someone, and that's what makes you state your case so often about how things are. Because let's face it, as you were growing up, the more independent you were, the less aid anyone gave you. And the more needy you were, the more aid people gave you. And so there's a sort of practiced vibration that started when you were really, 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 really little. That is still going on, not just with you, with a whole lot of people. But you, blessed being that you are, bring us this exaggerated version of it so that we can talk about it in a very strong way. So we're just going to hit this head on in very blunt terms. You got to stop talking about how things are unless you like them. And you got to start talking about how you'd like things to be.
I get that.
What you're going to discover, this diagnosis that they've given you, we love it. We love that they've given you this diagnosis, because this is the way we interpret this diagnosis. This is infinite intelligence speaking to you, and you can take these words to the bank. It is our promise to you. If you can hear what we're going to say to you in our interpretation of this diagnosis, you are an intense focuser. You are like a dog on a bone. A good thing. An intense focuser. Which means when you're focusing on an issue that isn't pleasing you, momentum, 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 momentum. When you're focusing on something that does please you, momentum, 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 momentum. But the part you have not known is that in all of this, knowing what you don't want, you have launched more rockets about what you do want than anyone who has ever sat in this hot seat before. You have a vortex filled with such specific desire that high-flying vibration is incredible. And that's why the tug of war within you is so strong. So the combination of having a really fast-moving vortex and being a focuser, like a dog on a bone, focusing in opposition to what you want, that's what's causing that tension within you. And that's why they give you that label. And we're saying to you, with less effort than you think, you're going to be able to begin to turn your attention more to things that you do want. And it is our promise to you that when that momentum begins, that momentum that matches the momentum of who you really are, that ease will come over you, and that what you're wanting will begin to flow into your experience in a stronger way.
Okay. I haven't really spoken to the main issue.
Well, we don't want you to.
But it's important.
No, it isn't.
Yeah.
It is.
Please.
We know that it feels, we're going to stand on your toes. We know that it feels important to you. Good toes. We know, runny nose. We know that it feels important to you. Itchy nose. We know that it feels, funny toes. We know, hole in Esther's sock. We know, and runner up her leg. We know that it feels, snorted into the microphone. We know that it feels important to you. We know that it feels really important to you. But if you can, something caught in Esther's throat. Distract yourself. If you can distract yourself. If you can distract yourself from any issue that feels important, it will peter out. It will go away. But if you give it your undivided attention, it will get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Momentum says that it has to. Law of attraction says that it has to. Can't get to the bottom of any issues.
I need to talk about my son.
Well, maybe before the workshop is over, we can have that discussion. But for right now, we want to leave you in this place of anticipating. So now here comes the quiz. Are we too close? You comfortable with this?
I just need to talk.
Well, before you do, we have some questions for you. Do you accept that you are a vibrational being?
Yes.
And do you accept that you are offering a vibration all the time?
Yes.
And do you accept that the vibration that you're offering equals a point of attraction? That what you're thinking and feeling, no matter who it feels like it's about, do you accept that you have a point of attraction going on?
Yes.
Do you accept that you have more control over that point of attraction than you've been exercising? And you think that's true of most people? You think that's why all these people gathered around here?
Yes.
Do you think that you have the ability to increase your measure of control?
Yes.
We're really pleased with this conversation that we're having, and your comprehension of this vibration. There are a lot of people who would just be annoyed at a conversation about vibration because you're not used to discussing things in terms of vibration. We discuss things in terms of vibration because we can discuss things in terms of emotion. So, does it seem logical to you that the more bothered you are about something, the more momentum you've got going on a vibrational pattern that isn't serving you?
Yeah.
And does it seem logical to you that momentum is going to increase with more attention to that? Does it make sense to you that every subject is really two subjects, wanted and unwanted?
Yes.
And can you feel that a lot of times you and everybody else is approaching the subject in terms of what isn't wanted, in terms of what is wanted? That's why it feels like an issue. Do you believe us when we say that momentum is what equals influence?
Mm-hmm.
And does it seem logical that if you're focused with someone on a problem and therefore gathering more momentum about that problem, that then your influence is perpetuating the problem?
Yeah.
So,
except with you.
Yeah, well, we're standing on your toe. So then it becomes sort of simple. Do I want to perpetuate the problem or do I want to perpetuate the solution? Because whatever I focus upon, momentum is going to become more, yes? So if I perpetuate the solution will get bigger. If I perpetuate the problem will get bigger. Logical?
Right.
So what we want to say to you is, and it would be true of anybody that we would be talking to, we can't get to the solution right now because the vibration of the problem is still too dominant. So if we try to talk about it now, we're going to perpetuate the problem, not the solution. So
I wanted to talk about the solution and not to what I just talked about. That's not the issue.
Well, just trust us a little bit and let's have some more seminar. And you just relax and listen to what we're saying, because we're going to be talking to you all through the hours that we're moving forward. And it is our promise to you that the solution will be readily available to you. And depending upon how well your vibration adjusts during the seminar, you'll get it. We will point at you, we will focus, we might even bring you back on the stage to talk about it. So do you follow that?
I hope so, yeah.
You've helped us say something more clearly than we've ever said it, that has been so long in coming. And that is, nobody ever gets to a solution by hammering away at the problem. You just don't. Because hammering away at the problem just keeps the momentum going. You got to find some way to break loose of it. So we'll end with this one really powerful point. You could have 10 things in your life that are major. One of them wonderful and 9 of them awful. And you could focus upon the one thing that's wonderful with us standing on your toe insisting that you do. And the other 9 would come up to speed with it and become wonderful too. That's power of influence. Or you could have 9 things that are wonderful and 1 thing that's awful. And you could focus on the 1 thing that's awful, and the other 9 things that were wonderful would become awful. In other words, your point of attraction influences everything that comes to you, everyone you interact with, everything you see. And you've got control over it, especially you. Especially you. We enjoyed this interaction immensely. Good time for a segment of refreshment. Let's take 20 minutes.